All a terrorist needs is a small vial of radioactive material.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, and I'm sure you had guests on who mentioned this, that if those guys flying those 3 airplanes on 9/11 had brought onto those planes radioactive material, the lower part of Manhattan of New York would still not be inhabitable today. Well, you couldn't breathe it. People would be fearful. People would have run from New York anywhere where it was safe. So when we talk about a new Cold War with Russia, and Cold War means a lack of cooperation, till this began, this new Cold War, we were cooperating with Russia to control their stockpiles of nuclear weapons and radioactive material. But we were doing something equally important. We were on the same side of the barricades fighting nuclear proliferation. And nuclear proliferation means two things. States getting nuclear weapons, that's our concern about Iran, but stateless terrorists getting their hands on, what did you call it,
A dirty bomb.
A dirty bomb, which is much easier. Lots of people know how to create this stuff. Lots of it is stored. Now that cooperation with Russia has been all but severed. And if you want an example of it, remember what happened in Boston and those two brothers.
That's right.
That we were warned. Our security officials, the CIA and the FBI, were warned by their Russian counterparts that this older brother was dangerous. And they didn't follow up on it. And you know why? Because they were told, some above, oh, that's just the Russians trying to make a human rights activist look like a terrorist. Putin is arguing that where we get into these regions and overthrow a leader, something worse happens. And he said at the UN, looking icily at the American delegation, a kind of haunting sentence, but we'll each have to decide if he was right. He said, do you now realize what you have done? Meaning, does this Islamic movement finally bring you, the United States, to your senses? It's an unanswered question as we talk tonight, George. We may know the answer tomorrow. We may know the answer in a week. But there's going to be an answer. Do we now know what we did through an ill-conceived foreign policy? And will we change course? If you bought into the Arab Spring mythology, that it was about democracy, that was what Putin was saying, that you created this mythology of the Arab Spring, that it was about democracy. If you bought into that, then you'd want to see Mubarak go on the assumption that somebody more democratic would come to power. But look at Egypt today. It's much more tyrannical.